Okay, so this is, I'm calling it Mono Black Mud. Mud is an old school term for mono artifact decks. And while this deck obviously has a small splash in it for interaction to keep itself alive against the aggressive decks, it is a mostly artifacts deck. So Forsaken Monument is one of the big payoffs for being in colorless. Colorless creatures get +2/+2. Whenever you tap a permanent for a colorless mana, you get an additional colorless mana, and this includes your lands. So we're playing, Voids, Spires, Radiant Fountains, Fairs, Crawling, all of these lands tap for 2 mana when we have Forsaken Monument out, which is great. Your big payoffs at the top end here are your Ugins and your Ulamogs. We got some artifact ramp here as well. I love the idea of Blast Zone. I think that's probably better than the Void, especially with the addition of Shadow to the format. Honestly, I could see getting all the way up to 4 copies of this card being good over some of these other ones. I'm gonna start with 2 though. So we also have this Karn the Great Creator that can search up various artifacts out of our sideboard. There's also a Platinum Angel hiding down here under the God Pharaoh statue behind my picture. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it goes. People suggesting all sorts of utility lands and asking about the mix of them. I don't know about the mix of lands that we have. This is a viewer submission, so we're gonna make a couple of small changes like Blast Zone, because that sounds good based on Death Shadow being in the format. But as for what's optimal, your guess is as good as mine. I don't have a ton of experience playing with this deck, so we're going to play some games and see if we want to develop some opinions as we go. Blinkmoth Nexus was a card that was added to the format in the most recent historic anthology, so that could be a card worth considering, perhaps. Our opponent's playing Luris, so this hand is slow, but it casts Shadow's Verdict, so I think I'm inclined to keep it. Ratchet Bomb could quite possibly be a card worth playing. Yeah. One of the other things I often find strange about decks like this, and honestly, this is something that wouldn't surprise me if it's just not worth playing, is giving up your. It's weird to me how decks like this give up, a third to half of their sideboard for Karn the Great Creator as a tutor, and then they just don't play 4 copies of Karn the Great Creator. I kind of feel like I would be surprised if the utility this card gives you is worth losing half your sideboard slots. Kind of feel like this Karn letting you generate card advantage and make threats is probably better than this. Again, this is a viewer submission, so we're gonna start here, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of my suggestions at the end of the stream is, hey, let's cut this card and get a real sideboard. So the problem, Shark and Bake, is that Historic has so many different things in it that, that many slots isn't really enough.
I have faced worse than the likes of you.
Can you explain why Monument is so important? I'm not sure that I understand why we think Monument is that important. I don't think Monument is worth paying 9 mana for in most situations, right? I get that Monument's great on 5, but this for Monument is paying 9 mana for it. And by the time you pay 9 mana for it, you could just cast an Ugin or cast an Ulamog, right? Most of the time. Obviously you could technically spend that mana over the course of 2 turns, but I feel like a lot of decks in this format don't give you time to do that. Like, the Monument is explicitly good against aggro, because it gains you life, but, like, spending 9 mana to get to that effect means it's no longer good against aggro. If I play this, I can still cast Ulamog, right? I'll have 6 in rocks and 4 lands. I feel like I'd rather just, like, have 4 monuments in the main and, like, have more Ulamogs and Ugins and just, like, have a sideboard. Like, imagine if this is just Ulamog or Ugin here. Right? I start by drawing 2 cards? I think I start by drawing 2 cards. So I find a way to gain life, this dies. Yeah, opponent that was a dire tactics. Opponent's playing Death Shadow. Is there anything in my sideboard that lets me gain life? Don't. Oh, I could have gotten Monument from the start, huh? That's a good thought. Hydra Moose, thanks for the follow, by the way. Got me. Okay, so when I cast this, the Scourge of the Skyclaves does. GG!
Consider this. I will defend my ally. My purpose is greater than my
Yep. I definitely want more of both of these. Card's probably a little slow here. Sounds good. Your sideboarding tends to be pretty minimal in a deck like this because your sideboard has a bunch of wish package. Yeah, I think Thought Distortion for the blue-white matchup is truly great. Making blue-white players regret all of their life decisions up until the point where you cast that spell is just like, it's delicious. This is a good draw after they took our Mind Stone. Get to scry for some lands. Yeah, I keep that now, right? Thought Distortion is god-awful card design. I mean, that you could say that about a lot of Magic's card designs. Magic's a big fan of big swings and polarizing card designs. Alright, 2 shots at an untapped land here. You know, one thing I didn't check, can someone check the cardboard live and tell me how many lands are in this deck? I definitely didn't look at that. 25? That's probably fine. We're on mine. We've got 8 2-mana rocks and some tomes. It's maybe 1 light. I think I'd probably like 26 with all the utility lands this deck gets to play. Goodbye, friends. Oh, could I have done that first? 2. Might have been 1 short. Oh, should I have Ugin first? Ugin would have made this cheaper, right? Yeah, I messed that up. The sequencing, so I have... Wait, this makes 3. So if I do this... Okay, so now I can Ugin... And then I can Golos, because Golos costs 3. Okay, got it. We figured it out. My turn was not efficient here, but yeah, seeing some of the power of our ramp plan here for sure. We'll fish up that blast zone that we added to the deck for this little dorko.
Truth lies beyond.
Plus my Ugin make a 4/4. Yeah, chat, there isn't really a wrong way to eat this Rhesus. All roads are leading to Rome. Bane Merchant, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Piece of removal like this is part of why I got the blast zone as opposed to getting the land that would let me activate it. Hey, do you have a way to make this fly to kill my Ugin? Are we done here? Oh no, don't attack me and make me draw a card. Oh, why would you make me draw a card, opponent? Yeah, I mean, like, these Ugin ramp decks are super reasonable. I think, so we spent the last 2 sets talking about how I don't think mid-range is super reasonable. I think this deck, this kind of like go big control deck, is a fine place to be in the format. I think historic as is rewards you for being on an extreme, right? You want to be either going really far under people, going fast, or like going super long. And Ugin Ulamog are a fine way to be going super long. I think I mulligan this in the dark. Two mana ramp spell. Sounds good. Ooh, Jun Sack, maybe without company here? So small thing here, but it's ideal to lead on Guardian Idol as opposed to Mind Stone, because Mind Stone comes into play untapped, which means on the turn you play Mind Stone, it can basically cost 1 mana in the right situation. This was excellent draw here against their deck. Yeah, I would bet this isn't a terrible matchup for us.
Our actions determine well.
I have main deck Grafdigger's Cages on the back of things like Karn. We have Shadow's Verdict and other exile removal. So I would bet, all things considered, this is not awful for us. Yeah, looks like a more mid-rangey build to sacrifice here. And I think I again just go fish up Blast Zone here, right? Actually sounds great. Yes, the Great Creator turns off their ovens also, which is nice. Maybe because of that, I don't need to... Are they on Bone Crusher Giant? Yeah, step on me, daddy. I ain't scared. Sure. See, chat, don't let the fear into your dojo. Don't let it in. Don't be afraid. I appreciate the fact that we loaded up this Go Big control deck and we're 2 for 2 on queuing into mid-range decks that we're just devouring here, just like completely and perfectly illustrating my point for us in a positive manner about where you do and don't want to be in Historic. Yeah, exactly, Kicker. I appreciate the arena ladder just like fully cooperating, like dismantling our mid-range decks earlier in the stream and then giving us a chance to dismantle opponents' mid-range decks as we go along. Maybe this shuffler's rigged against mid-range. Definitely. 100%. I think not playing 4 Ugin is probably a punt in this deck, too. This card's real busted. Look at the optimism, chat. Our opponent thinks they're gonna kill us before we cast this spell. Let's find out if they're right. I feel like in your Trail of Crumbs deck, that's a bad gamble. I feel like if they were like the more aggressive, like Collected Company build, maybe they could take my ramp and kill me before I get here, but this... I guess we could brick off on land. Mud isn't an acronym. Artifacts used to be brown, so they looked muddy. Is why they were called that. I believe that's the case. Can someone correct me if I'm wrong? I thought it was reference to the color of the old border artifacts. That's correct. Okay. Yeah, it was an era when a lot of deck names were like acronyms like that too. It's also true. This play is gonna seem a little bit odd, but I promise it's the play we have to make.
Ready to join them.
So, Vraska gets to eat this, but scrying towards lands next turn is valuable, so it also means that Vraska's not upticking towards alt this turn, which is nice. What's up? Are you asking me or are you telling me?
Yes.
Okay, let me take a peek at the calendar. He's got his next class is at 12:30. He's got 5 minutes. And then it's his last class of the day, okay?
An unfortunate casualty.
Well, it was probably 10 minutes when she told you, but now it's 5 minutes. Rumplesmith, thank you for the 17 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Okay, so if they don't have a way to kill Forsaken Monument or a discard spell, we get to Ugin them next turn? Because all of our lands tap for 2 now?
Its loss will serve us.
Yeah, I think they're looking to ult the Vraska. Okay, so they're dead. I guess they can go land Thoughtseize here. Zippity zappity the bapper. Thank you for the 11 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. So they'll get to sack their Korvald here and draw a card, but I'm going to be left with an Ugin on 2. Which is pretty good. I definitely think you should always take the card that kills you, chat. I think the opponent taking Mind Stone. I know like we stumbled on mana for a little bit, but like my opponent's deck is just not aggressive enough to be able to capitalize on taking me off of my ramp. They should have just taken my payoff. Maybe they have a Murderous Rider here and they're gonna be okay.
I have greater matters to attend
to. Cast Stony Silence. His uptick does kill food. It's nice. I think we down tick. Do we just kill food or do we go grab something? Let's go Golos first here. There's a lot of ways to eat this, Reese's. I feel like reaching into the fridge and eating some of their food could be the correct solution. Yeah, I could go grab the runestone out of the board. That means even if they kill Karn, their cat stops coming back. This stops them from drawing another card with their Their Trail of Crumbs. I feel like I want one more land. Yeah, Bog with our 2 copies of Pilgrim doesn't seem terrible. I'm gonna give up Scion of Urza. Man, we're not on 4 Hedron Archives either. This deck is really just on so many 2s and 3s. Oh, the Desert that exiles. I like that suggestion better. It's a card you could sacrifice to Ifnir Deadlands in a pinch too. Scavenger Grounds. Yeah, I like that. That's a clutch suggestion. I'll put the swamp back for the extra black source. Man, I really want to try this without this in a real sideboard. Can I do that? I feel like I want to do that. Anybody else want to do that? I want to do that. I'm gonna cut this card and play a real sideboard. And get some more copies of the good cards in here. I want an extra land in general. Maybe we don't need Karns. We're going up to all the top end here. Can play another Mazemind Tome. I like having turn 2 plays. Yeah, I think like the core of what this deck is doing is super reasonable. I like the artifact. The mono artifact deck felt reasonable, except it got kind of just dumpstered by aggro. And like having access to a bunch of good sweepers seems like a great solution to that. And like getting to play Thought Distortion and discard spells. See, like we get to do this, right? Like against control, I get to play Thoughtseize and Thought Distortion, and I can like put an extra Ulamog in my sideboard for control if I have board slots for it. You know, I actually don't hate that. You almost never attack with this card in my experience, and like when you're activating it, you've usually lost the game. I kind of like the idea of playing Cold Steel Heart. Just for added consistency. I think that actually sounds really good. How many black sources do we have? This is 12, 14, this is 18. Oh, it doesn't make colorless. That's true. That's true. All right, I'm gonna leave the other one. What was that? What was the rock called that I just cut? Idle. Ramping with this is valuable. Do we just play 4 Ulamog in the sideboard? Maybe a 3rd Ugin, actually. Having a real sideboard seems busted. Like, do I even need 4 Cage if I'm on Extinction Events and Shadows Verdicts? feel like I like the idea of this. Like pretty clean overall. Oh, we were already on 20. We were on 26 lands or 25 lands. Looks like we were on 26 already. That means I can cut one of these for a spell. Which land do I love the least? Probably don't need Buried Rune. Yeah, do I want a couple of Doom Blades in the sideboard? Just like a couple of Heartless Acts? Doesn't seem unreasonable. We have Cascading Cataracts to find with Golos, and it's an untapped land. Let's try this. Nah, black is a tough sell. I know we're playing Shadow's Verdict, but Shadow's Verdict doesn't happen until turn 5 or later, which gives you more time to find double black. Karn the Great Creator's like a powerful-ish effect, but I really feel like giving up the sideboard slots is just such a big ask in a non-rotating format. I feel like it's just not quite powerful enough to do that. Ooh, I don't hate Soul Shatter as a suggestion. Soul Shatter's nice because it's a card that can commit against control. Although, we kind of have enough cards in the sideboard for control at this point, probably. Yeah, I think Cataracts is much better than World Tree. Not only is it untapped, but it works with Forsaken Monument. I'm just supposed to draw a card here rather than scrying for a ramp. I assume they're gonna sack this Midnight Reaper in response here. I think we still name Odd if they do that. And like, we get 3 draws at a land for next turn, and then Forsaken Monument into Papa Ugin. Oh, that's an interesting line. I like this on their part. I think this line is good. I think we still name Odds here and take out their higher powered thing. This play leaves them Woe Strider in their graveyard, which is valuable. Hyper Raven, thanks for the follow. Man, 4 mana and no plays. Our opponent's pretty unlucky. I have a gain 4 here in a pinch. This is gonna gain us life next turn, so like, Daddy is gonna get to come home. Sure. Okay. This is a lot of damage, but I don't think it's 25. Might be close. Can we pour one out for my boy's Radiant Fountain down here, chap? Can we Ugin into Ugin? If we draw a land, if we draw a colorless land, I believe we can Ugin into Ugin. Because this cost me 3... No, I can't because of this one, right? If this was a colorless land, I could. Oh, wait! I can because Mind Stone is free, right? What if they kill my Ugin in response, though? If they sack the butchers... Yeah, I think we're supposed to just Mind Stone into Daddy Ugin. Yeah. In case their heads up and do that. If I uptick, they have Mayhem Devil and these. This is the safe play. There's no reason not to take the safe play here. We're so far ahead. There's no reason to try and cast the extra thing this turn. Yeah, the next turn we can safely double again is exactly correct. Yeah, especially, like, they're trying to beat this Ugin, too, so, like, they're killing this Ugin instead of pointing everything at us that they could point at us.
Your fate is endings are inevitable.
So they'll sack a thing here. You've beaten one Ugin, yes, but what about Ugin's students? Again, like, this card is just so good in these creature matchups. I can't imagine, like, the original submission didn't have 4 because it just couldn't fit them. And, like, cleaning it up so you could play 4 of this card just makes so much sense. The swamps are there because mathematically we want that many black sources in our deck. There's nothing to do with the Thoughtseize in the sideboard. And encourage you to look at Frank's Mana Math article if you're not familiar with the hypergeometric distribution when it comes to calculating how many mana sources you want in your archetype. Oh, we get to cast Golos this turn too, chat. This land taps for 2. Monument. Monument has gained an incredible amount of life. Like, okay, and here's the Cascading Cataracts, so like, you know, you have to beat these, you have to beat the Golos. My opponent's got a grip full of cards here, but we're in a pretty good spot. We've got Scavenger Grounds to exile their graveyard in a pinch. Yeah, we got like 3 must-answer threats here. Ugin the Ineffable, I know he was okay there. I think this might be a trip. Actually, would I rather get rid of Ineffable or Ulamog? I think I'd rather get rid of this, huh? This thing's probably gonna come down as awkward removal spell in some spots. Do I get rid of this too? Is just Ugin and Golos enough win condition? I need 3 cuts here. Are all the Extinction Events good enough? Do I need all of these? Shadow's Verdict's much better against their deck. I feel like I probably don't need all of these effects. Space this black control deck, this artifact black control deck's been sweet. Maybe Golos is unnecessary. It's a little slow and clunky and isn't a guaranteed finisher. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. We got a couple of crawly bees in the mana base. GGG Euro, thanks for the follow. If you're still here, welcome to the channel. True Gandalfs only play 1 threat to it. This isn't really a Gandalf deck. This is like a ramp control deck. This deck's more akin to Tron than something like Blue White. No, I don't think you touch the 2-mana rocks ever, Dr. Mister. I think you treat the 2-mana rocks as like sacred cows. Hey, Red Clouds, thanks for the half a year. Welcome back. No, listen, you can tell the people in chat talking about true Gandalfs are Zoomers and didn't live through actual Gandalf control. Listen, chat, back in my day, Gandalf control won by looping Elixir of Immortality, and if you were a coward, you registered an Aetherling. You haven't known true Gandalf suffering until you've watched your opponent win with looping Elixir of Immortality being their win condition. One of my favorite stories from the looping Elixir of Immortality area is one of my buddies at a Star City Games Open unintentionally drew 3 times in the same tournament with that deck. And when you draw the 3rd time, you have the same number of match points as people who have 2 losses. So he drew his way out of the draw bracket. If they have a collected company here, we might be in trouble. Our hand's kind of bad at the moment. Really, really want another piece of ramp. Why did they not register a finisher? Because from a game theory optimal perspective, you didn't play a finisher in that deck. We might want to tick Blast Zone to 3 here, yeah. I can't play this and do this turn. I gotta pass. So we're going to take 2 more. We take 1 from sacking Blast Zone. We take 1 from them sacking Mayhem Devil. So we're hoping for a colorless card that we can play alongside Forsaken Monument next turn to trigger the Gain Tube before we Ugin. It is worth noting here that if Crawling Barrens was Blink Moth Nexus, we'd be able to have more breathing room here. I would have been able to play Forsaken Monument and still have a blocker. Come on, just draw the Wellspring and pass. Yikes. Is it better to -2/-2 there? I'd have to pay a life, and I don't think paying a life is good. Alright, so I think I'm supposed to sack this Mind Stone because I want to draw another 2-mana artifact so I can gain 2 after I Forsaken Monument. Alright, game 3 on the play. I'm happy with how I boarded. Let's just run it back. A little bit too much pressure too quickly. Thus being on the draw. Cascading Cataract makes 5 different colors of mana, right? Do I not know what Cascading Cataract does? Does it make mana 5 of any color? And 5 mana in any combination of colors. I do, in fact, not know what Cascading Cataract does. Hey, Matt. Thank you for the 26 months. It's a long time. And good to know for the future. Yeah, I just assumed, I've only ever used it to make Wooburg, so I just assumed it was Wooburg only. I think I lead on Mazemind Tome here, because I want to get this working towards gaining life. If I had the mana to do that, that's better. I agree. Wait. So we'll scry with this, and then next turn we can go Mind Stone into Idle with the land, because Mind Stone comes into play untapped. Do I just play Mazemind Tome now so I can scry towards the land? I think so. Because then next turn I could go Archive into Guardian Idol, and again just getting this ticking up towards its gaining life ASAP. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I draw with Mazemind Tome this turn. The mid-range deck was a bit rough this morning. Not a huge fan of mid-range in this format. Might want to scry on my upkeep here. What we draw? Wow.
Look at how cute.
So we go Cage into Idle here. And we have Ulamog next turn. It's adorable. Which one of them did that? Was Declan?
Jacob.
Oh, Jacob?
It's a leprechaun.
Gooby. A gooby.
I showed Daddy your leprechaun.
Your leprechaun's very cute.
I bet Chat wants to see it.
Can't really.
Hey,
Oh,
do that.
there you go. Look at that.
I'm gonna be the richest.
You're gonna get his pot of gold and be the richest? Will you share with me though?
Maybe we're supposed to do Priest here. Because it sacks the Ulamog. They're going to keep a good creature regardless. We played Cat Pack at some point. We played Cat Pack on Thursday. It's up on YouTube. Check it out. To the people that I'm timing out in chat for saying, why not Priest, you're not new. Come on now. If you want to tell me why a play is better, articulate yourself like I just did, explaining the case. Otherwise, just stop. It's helpful to make suggest good play lines, but explain why they're good. Don't just be like, hey Jeff, you're dumb. Don't just be like, hey Jeff, do this other thing. And I think at this point, we'd rather name Odd. If we don't want to be dead on board. And then I think we just play out our artifacts so we have as much mana as possible next turn. So these take 2 to activate. I think we start here. And this is... They're going to Priest in response. And then we'll kill Priest. And then we have statues to block. Did do a few things here. Yeah, I definitely should have Ulamogged the priest. He was eating and stuff, and there were people in the room. Yeah, especially a way Extinction Event ended up lining up into the rest of their things. Like all of their good non-priest cards were odd mana cost. So that wasn't rough. If we just take the priest there, we end up winning that pretty easily, I think. Our life total ends up much higher than it was. So this is definitely a game that was lost to a mistake on my part, as opposed to anything that had to do with the opponent's deck. Listen, chat. The MPL, Mulligan, and Mana Screw just like everybody else out there. It's not a big deal. Anybody suggesting I play more black sweepers in my mostly colorless land deck? I'd encourage you to look up Frank Karsten's Mana Math article or learn how to use a hypergeometric distribution calculator. You'll quickly understand why your suggestion is bad. Okay, well, our opponent's either playing Tybalt Trickery or my statement about MPL mulliganing just like everybody else is very true. I'm gonna board like they're on blue-white control. And in the event that they're not, we'll reassess. So bring in my discard spells, a couple extra threats at the top end. Cycling? Maybe, I don't know. I feel like cycling's on a deck that mulligans a lot, has a lot of. They could be anything and just be very unlucky, but we'll see. I think boarding like there's some kind of, our combo sideboard plan is very similar to our blue-white sideboard plan in that we board in a bunch of discard spells. So yeah, they could be a lot of different things. Boarding in Thoughtseize is pretty good against most things. So like it's a pretty low risk, like the Thought Distortions, or maybe a little bit higher risk. I feel like Auras is probably unlikely because Auras is usually a Luris deck and my opponent's not playing Luris. Man, if I would have known I was about to use my called shot power on the MPL mulligans and mana screws just like everybody else, I probably wouldn't have used my called shot on that match. Just like, what a perfect encompassment of Magic the Gathering, right? Someone's just like, man, this is a tough opponent. Just like, well, they mulligan and mana screw just like everybody else. And just like, bang, bang, mulligans a bunch, sticks on 2 lands, 2 games in a row, and concedes. What a skill-intensive game we play, chat. Low variance, big brain, high IQs. Yes, our opponent that just got incredibly unlucky was an MPL member.
Some solutions must be built.
That's why they play Karn the Great Creator, chat. Karn the Great Creator's the Mirror Breaker. Duh, it's the mirror technology.
I will not stop.
Do I cut a couple of... Do I cut some of these? Just like play some Thought Distortions? I guess this isn't even that great, huh? I'm just gonna bring in Thoughtseize as some extra threats to the top end. Okie doke.
Evil must not be tolerated.
I feel like this match and the last one have really highlighted the skill-intensive range that Magic the Gathering encompasses. Really shows that good back and forth that you get going between players.
There is great power in the things we make.
Yeah, I agree, Prime. And even if we're both running Karn, it sounds like... And if we're both running Karn, it sounds like a pretty miserable match of Magic, right? Doesn't sound particularly interesting or engaging if you're both just, like, flipping coins to shut off most of your opponents. Most of your opponent's cards. If you expect to play the mirror, I would recommend not cutting the Karn the Great Creators. They seem pivotal to the Mud Mirror match. We should play Soul Shatter. No, I don't think we should board for the Mud Mirror match. I think I'm fine punting that one. Oh, they're 5-color nib, actually. Looks like. All right, I'm timing people out that are suggesting I change my deck. That are suggesting I change my deck after the mono artifact mirror match. Stop it. Get some help. The purpose of Heartless Act in my sideboard is to give us counterplay against aggro. Replacing my 2-mana Doomblade with a card like Soul Shatter is much worse against Grawl and things where that slot is explicitly for. So again, when you change cards in your sideboard, you want to ask yourself, what is... Oh, for fuck's sake. We just cannot catch a break today. We can't draw cards with these because of the pig. Oh, that's brutal. I think the matchups where you really want creature lands on average are the control matchups, and Crawling Barrens is much better in the control matchup. Oh, I should have drawn on my turn in case we drew a 2-mana artifact ramp piece. Small mistake here. This is a Thoughtseize matchup. Are probably going to have counter spells post board. Board in some of our top end here. I don't think this is a Thought Distortion matchup because they're going a long deck, but they have they're a go long deck, but they have a lot of creatures in their deck, which makes this seem less great. I'd rather have more top end than more Thoughtseize here. Fine. Not amazing, but fine. Protection. When you trample against a card with protection, you have to assign damage to the protection card equal to its toughness. What have we died to? Karn the Great Creator, mostly. So if I do this, I can draw here. We can cast this. Nice, nice. So white, green, red, blue, black. They can cast Sniv. Yep. This is fine though, right? Because we're going to Ulamog them next turn and we'll get rid of both of these. Okay, so this is 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Is that right? 2, 5, 7. I have 15 mana total. So if I cast this, I have 2, 4, 6, 9 left. And I can also cast Ulamog.
I came into being
Is it good for you, opponent? It was good for me. And that is why you play this deck, chat. For turns like that one. Get your Forsaken Monuments here. Go big or go home. The secrets manifest themselves before us. I could go either way on this. No, Black Source is a little loose. We're on the draw, though. Hey, look, chat. It's a Black Source. Riceco, thanks for the third of year. I appreciate the prime. Just for that turn, have some peso bucks. I appreciate it. Wouldn't be here without folks like you. Get Golos here. I'm gonna play this Hedron Archive, and then have to discard a card. And then they're gonna, or it's gonna get shattered or something. Evolution Mulligans. Yeah, we're done here. Lane to Evolution Mulligans. I remember when Modern was a format I enjoyed playing too. It was a long time ago now, Ethangle. I occasionally peek in on the other formats of Magic, and like, they're just unrecognizable from what they once were. Back when I was playing them a bunch. Kevin Chen, thanks for the follow. Good afternoon. They did at least have the decency of banning, what's the card I'm thinking of? They did at least have the decency to get rid of the stupid island that put a spell back on top of your deck in Modern. That card with Cryptic Command was real offensive. I've seen this card going around in a number of these red-black lists. Yeah, Mystic Sanctuary. I don't think we're gonna have time to Arch of Orazca, so I'm gonna ditch that one. That card was truly miserable. Big agree. Gonna draw for the turn. It's not terrible. Because with this land, I can use this to draw a card here. What's going on, Jerry? Thank you for the 35 months. Good afternoon. Ooh, I don't even have to hurt myself for this one. Do I, though? I don't have to hurt myself. I don't have to use my energy. I think I hurt myself so I can save I can save the energy for later. Yeah, Shadow's Verdict is absurd in this matchup. Extinction Event's good in this matchup too, but Verdict is excellent. I think 4 to 5 years is too often. I think once a decade is good. I think would be my expectation. I think I'm ditching the Ugin here, and then I'm just gonna Shadow's Verdict, get rid of this Croxa next turn. What's going on, Dirtle Greg? Thanks for the 2.5 years. I think the amount of time they had between Pioneer and Modern was a good amount of time, for example. I think every time they hit about that time frame is probably a decent time to cycle through. I'm not going to draw another card here because my opponent's deck plays a lot of discards, so I'm going to draw at their end of turn. They've said Pioneer Historic will eventually be the same thing. No, stop it. It's incredible. It's incredible how much that FUD has perpetrated across the internet because people just keep repeating it. At no point has anybody in charge of anything related to Magic said Pioneer and Historic are going to be the same thing. In fact, quite the opposite. They've explicitly been adding cards to Historic that aren't Modern and Pioneer legal. I don't know if we have a direct quote saying that they're different from somewhere. If someone has that offhand, I'd take it as a reference material. But, like, the idea that they're guaranteed to merge has definitely never been said. Grab my Cataracts to make them have a removal spell here, I think. Yes, Historic will eventually be to Pioneer what Vintage is to Legacy. It will be a format that has all of Pioneer contained within it, but also has a separate ban list and has a different subset of cards, such as things like Muxus and Jumpstart cards and Historic anthologies that won't exist in Pioneer. I have seen the quote on they want Historic to eventually be similar power level to Modern. Solar. Thanks for the follow. Good afternoon. I think Fetches would be a really nice way to make Historic and Pioneer different. Stop it. Fetches suck. They just create miserable gameplay. And even if the gameplay is not as miserable with Fetches in a digital setting, Fetches, they make building mana bases boring. I actually love the mana in Pioneer and Historic. They're the first formats where mana bases aren't incredibly dry, where you actually have to kind of think about it. And there's different ebbs and flows and upsides and downsides. May play them this turn. Oh, I can play lands with this normally if I don't play my land first. Good to think about. Buried Memory, thanks for the brand new tier 1 sub. Welcome. Alright, so Shadow's Verdict is absurd here. Cage is absurd. I think this is an Extinction Event matchup, probably. Probably want all of those on deck. I think Ugin's a little slow. I think he's often would just be down tick and then go away. Honestly, I think I bored down on my threats in this matchup and just try and be more controlling. Maybe Golos is fine. I don't know. I guess they could have... I feel like blanking their removal by and large is pretty good. Maybe we leave Ulamog in because it doesn't care about their removal. The tediousness factor of fetches is largely mitigated in a digital environment, and historic is a digital-only format, so I don't know that that's really a consideration. I don't want all 7 of these. Let's do that. Let's leave two login. But from a mana base interesting perspective, I really have enjoyed building mana bases in this format in Pioneer, and the mana base building in formats like Modern and Legacy is just very dry. It's very straightforward to set up optimal mana bases. There's just a few core heuristics that you adhere to, and everything else is cookie cutter from there. Totally not Holden. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this afternoon. Fetches also indirectly break other cards like Deathrite Shaman and Dig Through Time, which have remained legal in Pioneer and are fine in that format explicitly because fetch lands don't exist. I think Fabled Passage is an example of the perfect fetch land, and I like that that's the power level they've gone with. I actually think someone said a reversed Fabled Passage. Just the very virtue of Fabled Passage's core design only letting you get basic lands. I don't even think it's strictly the tapped versus untapped on Passage that makes it relevant, so much as just fetches getting shocks makes mana arbitrarily easy to build around. Yeah, I think Prismatic Vista is mostly fine. I think the big thing, I think if you wanted to add Prismatic Vista to Historic as a distinguishing factor, I think that would be fine. And for people that aren't familiar, Prismatic Vista is Fabled Passage. It's always untapped, but you have to pay 1 life. It's a Modern Horizons card. I think that power level is fine. I think that is a great suggestion for a way to differentiate mana bases a bit between Historic and Pioneer. That would increase the power level and consistency a little bit, but it wouldn't be fetches that get shocks tedious and dry. I actually really like that suggestion, the more that I think about it. That sounds great. I think we just ditch the Ugin for now. We keep interaction for next turn into Monument the turn after. We'll draw some cards this turn. I hate the idea of something like a snow fetch, because I think cards that push you towards making snow mana strictly optimal for the lands that you should be playing are dry and suck. I want to get to play with the basic lands that I like. Honestly, it could be right because we drew this, just like pass here and draw another card. Let me play with the cosmetics of my choice. Yeah, Nykthos will come to Historic eventually. Sure, it's weird. More narrow fetch lands are probably fine. In a digital setting, I don't hate the concept of fetch lands explicitly because there's no physical shuffling in a digital setting. My opposition to Flooded Strand and Scalding Tarn and Friends is largely related to what they do to how you build mana bases. Makes them dry and uninteresting in my opinion. Yeah, that would be nice if we had something like that as a regular rule, Dr. Mister. Them breeding that instead of my cage sounds lovely. Totally not Holden. Thanks for the sub. Welcome to the channel this afternoon. Alright, so we're just gonna do this then, right? Since they put Luris into play. I don't think we give them the opportunity to Crocs us next turn. Let's get rid of them both here. They could like end step a Braid, untap Crocs us, and it wouldn't be great. So, Colorless Lands here is actually a pretty decent draw, because it would let us Monument and Mazemind Tome in the same turn. So, obviously, opponent's going to have some draws here, but it feels like this game is pretty over. Poor design choices, the answer, Waterfalls. I had a giant rant about that land towards the start of the format at one point. It might be right to exile this to play around village rights, but I think I'd rather just take their lands here. I don't really care about this blocking, so we'll kill them in a couple of attacks, exiling top 20 cards of their deck. Alright, let's see if we can find one more mid-range deck to devour here before we're done for the afternoon. Well, done with Magic. So we're gonna play, for those of you just joining us, we've been streaming Historic for the last almost 6 hours now. If you're new to the channel, be sure to check out my YouTube channel as well. We do a huge range of constructed Magic decks here, at least 5 days a week, usually 2 or 3 different decks. We played Mono Black Devotion as well as Mardu Midrange before this. That'll all be up on my YouTube channel later this evening. At the end of the stream today, we're going to play Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation for a couple of hours. I've been working through the remake of that on my PS5. That's free on PS Plus right now, so... Most of the content here for those new to the channel is turn-based strategy games, mostly Magic related, but also do some variety stuff in the afternoons at the end. I think we mulligan, no 2-mana Rock in the Dark. Yeah, that sounds great. We'll draw a bomb. How is Ratchet and Clank? It's been a lot of fun. The best way I can describe Ratchet and Clank is it feels like playing a Saturday morning cartoon in a great way. The characters are super bubbly, the graphics are gorgeous. The graphics look like a cartoon. Like, modern day video graphics really are something. Just truly a treat. Yeah, I do some other turn-based strategy stuff like Mythgard or Runeterra occasionally, but mostly single-player story-driven stuff outside of that, yeah. Ooh, are they the red artifact deck? Hopefully they're not playing Karn. We played against a black artifact mirror earlier, and they had Karn, the great creator that just turned us off. We are ramping slightly harder than them. Ben Redgrave, good afternoon. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, step on me, daddy. We draw a brick next turn. We're probably going to cycle one of the archives. We're up to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sure. Do I just cycle this now? I think so, because I can hit another 2-mana artifact rock that I want to play out here, like a Mazemind Tome. Yeah, nailed it. Deck play Dreamstone Hedron. I don't know what that card does. Oh, no, probably not. Six mana for a piece of ramps a lot. I think that's just worse than playing Ugin. Alright, it's worse than playing 6 mana Ugin, sorry. We have multiple Ugins. Oh, I could have played Spire and Shadow's Verdict did this, or played a Swamp. Nailed it. Never didn't have it. Yeah, I think 6 mana Ugin's just better because 6 mana Ugin is a piece of ramp that also draws us cards and provides utility. And honestly, there's been turns where 6 mana Ugin generated like 4+ mana in a turn when we played it, which is great. Now, I don't want to try and trade. There's a good chance they have like another Bone Crusher Giant or something here. I probably should have waited a turn to sacrifice one of my artifacts so I could hit the Ascendant status with this. That's fine, we'll hit it this turn, right? And now we can draw with Mazemind into this at the end of their turn. Spellweaver, thanks for 19 months, welcome back. Wonder if the opponent's playing Blood Sun.
When you understand reality,
I did cut the copies of Karn because I didn't want to respect the mirror match. The Spellweaver, thanks for 19 months. And Moose Lover, thanks for the follow. Alright, so there's Crawly B. Man, we are really bad at finding our threats, huh? I could technically Extinction Event and then smack Ugin down to 1 with Crawly B. Doesn't seem great, though. Someone asked you about main deck Grafdigger's Cage. I think all of the decks that are really good and historic care about Grafdigger's Cage. So while there's a plethora of tier 2 decks that can just shrug it off and not really care about it, everything that's good, generally speaking, that card is good against. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana total here. Yep.
I come bearing the wisdom of the ancients. I will destroy.
Don't touch that dial. The audio being Fubart is not you. It's just Magic Arena coming in hot. Peak Twitch chat is suggesting a card to make Ulamog a better finisher. Stop it. Get some help, chat. No, my Ulamog doesn't need help closing. He could get exiled by their Ulamog here, though. I would imagine Puppy, but I also haven't played that archetype enough to know for sure.
did all I did.
You just can't sate him, chat. He is ceaseless. It's like 7 mana here for the opponent.
I'm the best fire starter there is.
It's a shame that Ulamog doesn't have haste, yep. See any white weenies slash tempered steel around? We haven't played against a lot of that on the ladder, but we've played it on stream. You can find deck lists of those archetypes on my YouTube channel. Okay, so these are good. These are not. These are fine. Seems pretty good. I think this is again a matchup where Thought Distortion doesn't seem great. We mostly want this for counterspell decks that want to sit on lots of things in hand. The opponent's deck is similar to ours, that they're looking to ramp up and vomit their hand into play as quickly as possible. So like drawing a Thought Distortion in the late game doesn't sound great. I'd much rather have a Thoughtseize to disrupt them a little bit early. Tinker and Historic is probably fine. What's the best artifact you can get with Tinker in this format? Lightsteel Colossus isn't legal. God Pharaoh's Gift? Yeah, it's probably fine. Gear Hulk. Does Gear Hulk is only instants, right? You get Colossus Citadel? Sure. This hand's great. It needs to draw a third land, but we're on the draw. Yeah, all of those things people are suggesting sound fine. Most things that aren't Blightsteel should be okay. Packers! Thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate the prime. We're up to 40 people enrolled for Sunday already. I'm excited. Also, the person that did up the graphics for the Hooklandia overlay gave us a cleanup, and we got a new glowy logo that looks beautiful. Shout out to Wrigley for doing that. I love it. Oh, we drew the land? That's exciting. Yeah, I think the list Croaky's posted looks super reasonable. Roiling Vortex. Oh, sure, they want to stop me from gaining life. Deal. Hey, awesome, Holden. Good to have ya. The logo looks really slick. We have some updated overlay panels for the open itself too that I gotta get set up in OBS that look excellent as well. Okay, so this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can play Forsaken Monument and then play Hedron Archive, right? Because this is gonna double these to 4. They're gonna stop us from getting life. That's like not a big deal. And then next turn I have 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 mana. These two are 14 together. Things that is not Shatterstorm. Do I wait a turn on Ulamog now? I think I actually wait a turn on Ulamog now. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do this into Golos. Definitely feels like we're bigger fishing our opponent here. Our archetypes are doing similar things, but our deck just goes way up over the top. November Lima MTG, thank you for the quarter of year. Welcome back. So we'll say -2 here, get rid of the vortex. We'll minus this. We'll kill the gold span without giving them a treasure. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana next turn. They can't quite play. Ooh. Wait, what? Deal. I thought they were gonna kill this before I could activate it, punishing me for not killing the old span dragon. But they killed the other one. There's like 6 different cards they can't beat. What's the biggest fish in Historic? Honestly, I think this archetype that we're playing right now is probably the biggest fish in the format. I think is likely the case. Blue-green ramp goes kind of big. Yeah, I guess they usually go to Ulamog too. It'll also eat all your wild cards. Listen, chat. He isn't called the Ceaseless Hunger because he only eats a couple of wild cards. You think you could just calm him with one little mythic card snack? Oh yeah, I saw a Bant Marvel deck in one of the deck dumps at one point. I feel like I need to import that one and load it up at sometime in the future. I think I really like where we ended up at. My big takeaway from this set is the theory crafted add black mana and sweepers / interaction to the artifact deck felt really good. We tried just mono artifacts before, and it did not feel very competitive. The aggressive decks and even the mid-range decks can get under you pretty consistently, and this build, having both Verdict and Extinction Event, are excellent. Honestly, I think there's a good chance Shadow's Verdict is just the best sweeper in this format right now. There's so many. This exiles every creature collected company hit, so most creature decks are collected company decks in this format, and the fact that this exiles things like Woestrider and Kroxa and Cats on top of that is a really big upside. This top end is great. I think I'm happy with not playing the Tutor Karn in this deck. I think it's just clunky and awkward. I think there is a chance that Corporate Karn, the other 4-mana Karn, could potentially be good in here for a source of generating card advantage, but I do really like having a real sideboard, having to not give up, 3, 4, 5, some even 6 or 7 sideboard slots to get utility out of 3-mana card, or the other 4-mana card, has always felt bad to me. And getting to play, Thoughtseizes, some extra spot removal, distortions, extra threats for the control matchup like that whole mix feels good. He's corporate Karn because he's wearing pants, for reference. This is Karn, and you can see he's got his little belt there on with his pants, and Karn Liberated, on the other hand, he's not wearing pants. Let's get a picture of him up here real quick for everybody at home. So this is corporate Karn. This is Karn Liberated. So Karn Liberated, no pants. Corporate Karn wearing pants. So that's this is work from home Karn. Yeah, he's feeling liberated. No pants for him, chat. All right, I have my other webcam up on this frame. That's fine. All right, so we're gonna wrap on